ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ नीलाम्बुजं श्यामलकोमलाङ्गं सीतासमारोपितवामभागं पाणौ महाशायकचारुचापं नमामि रामं रघुवंशनाथम्. Adorations to Lord Rama, whose complexion is like a blue lotus, who is very tender and delightful in appearance. Brahman is being described in simple words: tender, delightful. But we have to multiply each with trillions of positivity. Sita is seated on his left side. Sita is Prakriti Devi. She is inseparable from Rama. And he is carrying a powerful bow, an arrow in his hands. Bow is the mind, arrow, thoughts. Cosmic mind creates the whole universe by thoughts. Individual mind, when it has become highly purified, shoots arrows of Satsankalpa, of God's will. And therefore, saintly thoughts are very powerful. Coming into the Balakanda, we are in early stage of Balakanda, and following the style of all Indian scriptures, that's Hindu scriptures, the essence of the teachings is always given in the very beginning. In the beginning, we describe the whole goal. If you like it, then stay on. And the fact is, you are going to like it. And the more you focus on the whole picture of the goal, your study becomes much more qualitative and effective. If you don't have the goal in view and you are just studying, you don't know where you are going. So that is this mystic psychology behind the Indian scriptures. The very second chapter of the Gita gives you the whole essence of the Gita and the characteristics of one who has attained enlightenment. Similarly, the very first section, Balakanda, the very earliest stage, Tulsidas ji gives the descriptions of Sant, Asant, Sant, saintly people. Saintly people endowed with Daivi Sampat, divine virtues, and unsaintly people who are endowed with Asuri Sampat, undivine qualities. So those qualities you must have a good grasp over, because that is the foundation of spiritual practice. What are you really going to develop? The qualities, saintly qualities, we have described before. Tulsidas ji doesn't have too much time to give all the elaborate, but let me inform you to Daivi Sampat as described in the Gita. Abhayam Sattva Sanshuddhi Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti Danam Damascha Yajnascha Swadhyayah Tapa Arjavam. Abhayam, fearless. If you are growing in a right direction, your mind becomes extremely positive. See, every day comes, there is a day and night. Your mind can focus on the night, how terrible the night is going to be. or your mind can focus how wonderful day is coming. You can look at the half bottle, say it is how wonderfully full, halfway. Or you can say how miserable, empty. The negative direction comes by ignorance, and that's the source of all troubles, because life is not simple. Sometimes certain experiences God has given you are enriching your mind, but your mind does not interpret them in a positive way, interprets them as a negative way. So you are working on the half-empty philosophy, and as a result, you go through challenging conditions, but instead of becoming strong, you become injured, wounded. You become tamasic, rajasic. Abhayam means fearless. Because the moment you turn towards a positive direction, the knowledge, the wisdom that rings within your heart, you are Satchidananda, your existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. You are immortal, immutable, absolute self. Death doesn't exist. For ordinary illustration, think of the sun as the absolute self. Think of the reflected suns as souls. For reflected suns in jars of water, there is day and night. There is birth and death. For the sun, there is no such thing. Every reflected sun is the sun. So no matter how limited you may appear in your body-mind complex, the reality within you is the absolute self. Positivity at its highest. And in that movement, negativity has no room. Darkness has no room when you are facing the emergence of the light of the sun. Darkness has no existence. Try it sometimes, look for it. Let me enumerate to you those Devi Sampat. It's interesting. When you have time, you go through it more and more. It comes in the Gita, chapter 16. The verses 1 to 3 describe the positive qualities as well as negative qualities. Positive to cultivate, negative to eliminate. Positive is called Devi Sampat, divine wealth. Negative is called Asuri Sampat, demoniac wealth. And everyone, every soul is involved in gathering wealth. But if you turn to divine wealth, there is absolutely, you have adopted the right course, and you are going to be the richest in a mystic way. But if you have not taken the right course, then you are moving towards endless troubles. So Abhayam, fearlessness, is like a general of divine army. It guides all other virtuous qualities, commands over them. Sattva Sanshuddhi. Sattva is purity, harmony, peace. When your heart becomes purified, sattva abounds. Purity of a heart, in other words, is called sattva sanshuddhi. Purity of heart. That means you are not holding on to conceit, grudge, confusion, sorrow, but the heart is just relaxed with its window opening to eternity. Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti, to be rooted in two yogas, prominent yogas, Jnana Yoga, the inquiry into who am I, and just yoga term implies an integral plan of yoga. To put it in simple language, 4 yogas together: karma, yoga of action; bhakti, yoga of devotion; dhyana, yoga of meditation; dhyana, yoga of understanding or wisdom. These 4 must become your target. You may give importance to one of the 4, but understand that all the 4 are linked together. You cannot do good deeds unless you have a good understanding. You cannot have good understanding unless you have a good heart, compassionate heart. You cannot accomplish anything unless you have a concentrated, one-pointed attention. So all these 4 must blend together. That's called integral yoga, or just simple word yoga. Yoga in practice. Danam damascha yajnascha. Dana, charity. Dama, controlling the mind and senses. Yajna, living a life of discovering your errors and sublimating them. Yajna is where traditionally, with a ritual type of yajna, you pour materials into fire and the oblations burn up and become sublimated. When you notice within yourself that anger has become a dominating quality, yajna means before you see the anger coming and overpowering your mind, I'm giving you an extremely allegorical way. You see the anger coming, close the door. While you have closed the door, go to your refrigerator. Drink something cold and nourishing. And while doing that, say to yourself, I am all divine, I'm cool. I'm loving. And by the time you come out, love becomes predominating. Love is more interesting for the heart than the anger. And by the time you open the door, say, oh, I thought you were that the terrible neighbor. But you are my own grandson. So that's called yajna, transforming the negative into positive. And Gita tells you, and as well as Ramayana, yajnanam japa yajñosmi. If you repeat the divine name, that brings about change in your nature. The gross within you is sublimated into subtle. All gross qualities, defective qualities are like short-circuited energy. Electricity that has become short-circuited gives you a lot of troubles. But to correct it, and it doesn't give you correct, rather you are blessed by it. Same way, energy that is short-circuited creates in you sorrow, anger, hate, fear. Straighten it, and it creates in you love of God, surrender to God, and all divine qualities, saintly qualities that become natural for you. Swadhyaya, another great quality, these are all Davi Sambats. Study of scriptures. Tapa, practice of austerity. But austerity is kind of a mystic discipline. The more you practice it, the brighter your intellect becomes. arjavam, being simple, uncomplexed, as you think, thinking, speaking, acting, all in harmony. Ahimsa satyam akrodha, ahimsa non-violence, satyam truthfulness, akrodha not being agitated or angry, tyaga living a life of transcending ego, surrendering ego, not claiming everything on the basis of ego, shanti developing equanimity and tranquility in your mind, apayashunam not going after the defects of others, daya bhuteshu aloluptvam, daya compassion, mercy, pity. Pity term is not highlighted, because never, if you are developing a sense of pity towards others, of course it's good for the person, because you are not going to hurt the person. It's not good for you because you have developed superiority complex. Your attitude should be you are serving God in others. Bhuteshu aloluptvam. Lolup term means greedy. The tongue that goes on lup, 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 lup. You don't live in the world with gridha drishti, that is to say, always looking for pleasures of the senses. Mardavam, developing gentleness, modesty. Mardavam is a quality of adhering to what is maryada. Maryada is rectitude, or living in a life of culture. So don't go beyond cultural tradition. You have to eat through your mouth. Don't start eating through your nose. I'm just joking. People do amazingly abrupt things. That's called hrir, modesty, lajja. Achapalam, not to be shaken. Do not be shaken. Since the creation began, you have been existing. Nobody has taken you out of existence. And you are bound to attain enlightenment. So therefore, with that goal in view, don't let yourself be shaken deep down. Swing a little, but not shaken to the extent that the root itself is broken up. Teja kshama dhriti shaucham. Teja. When you are practicing sadhana, a kind of spiritual energy manifests through your body. The modern science has not come to the grip of it. It's a glow of mystic vitality. And of course, it is a source of good health, profound health. It is that teja, the personality, magnetic personality in a positive way. That's the quality of great teachers, gurus, leaders. Kshama, ability to forgive. But forgiveness in this context is profound. You do not go on remembering the fault of the person, that I have forgiven that person, 5 of his faults I have forgiven, and now we have to see what he is going to do to. Forgive and forget. Somebody has a headache and you place your hand on the head, recited a mantra, and headache is gone. Don't start raising your head. Look, this my hand did it. That's called kshama. Dhriti, ability to hold on to good things. Mind should not hold on to little grudges, little irritable news, but it should hold on to things of profound nature. They should stick to your mind. Her dhriti is dharana shakti, allowing your mind first to draw what is of value and then stick to it. Shaucham, purity of body and mind, that's called shaucham. Adroho natimanita, having no animosity towards anybody. All living beings are like in a big hospital. And if patients become inimical to each other, what type of situation will happen? Natimanita, not giving too much credit to one's own self. Humility should become your gentle nature. These are called Daivi Sampat. Abhijatasya Bharata. Krishna says to Arjuna that you are born with this. While translating the Gita, people always say Arjuna was a divine person, therefore all these qualities were born with him. But the actual teaching of the Gita is that every soul has these qualities innate. The asuri qualities you develop, they are not innate qualities. They are artificial qualities that you have picked up by your limited mind. And to understand the difference between the innate quality that is natural and artificial that goes on changing, that's very important in Indian philosophy. One is a process of change. If you are given a cloth, each time there is a tear, you repair it. But you repair it with something that makes the cloth worse than before. But there is a highlight in the cloth, so it's good, showy, shining. And the cloth goes on being enriched. This form of enrichment is superficial. On the other hand, disperse the cloth, get completely new, renew the cloth. Your personality, when you develop artificial qualities, qualities that really don't belong to you, it's called becoming. You become, you were angry, you become now peaceful. You used to be irritable, but now you have become a very saintly person. And what you are going to become, who knows? You are poor, you may become very rich. Try to understand, becomings are illusion in this world. Look at around any, who is there who became the perfect from worldly point of view? All the wealth they gained and all the power, in spite of all that, they did just a simple thing, kick the bucket. So what I'm leading to understand, that being, self-realization is a revelation of what you are already essentially. It is revelation of the being. Karmic improvement that you do to yourself, that's called becoming. No matter how much improvement you do to yourself by karmas, it never leads you to perfection. But when you turn to bhakti, devotion, all karmas are cleared up. The very ego subsides. The reality in you shines forth. That reality didn't need any dressing. It didn't need any enrichment. It is Satchidananda. Avijatosya Bharata. That's what the statement of Arjuna that you are born with these divine qualities. That applies to each one of you, no matter how distant you may be in the relationship with the Kauravas and Pandavas. Now, all this was touched by Tulsidas ji, and now Tulsidas ji touches upon Asuri Sampat. In the Gita, there is only one verse for the Asuri Sampat. Dambho darpo bhimanascha krodha parushyameva cha ajnanam abhijatasya partha sampadam asuri. Dambha, hypocrisy. Darpa, conceit. Abhiman, egoism, egotistic pride. Krodha, meaningless anger. Parushya, harshness in your words and in your deeds. That's all have been mentioned. And they have arisen out of ignorance. If you had knowledge, they wouldn't arise. And these are Asuri Sampat. They are the forces of darkness. If you are moving on the right course, the forces of darkness will not be held on by you. You will continue to develop forces of light, Davi Sampat. And the purpose of sadhana is to go on developing those Davi Sampat qualities through your integral yoga practice. As you develop them, your Godward movement becomes much more effective. On the other hand, your Godward movement goes on securing for you Davi Sampat. It goes both ways. You practice, develop a good quality, and the good quality allows your practice to become more intense. Bahuri bandi khalagan sati bhaye, ye benu kaja dahin hu baye, parahital hani labh jin kere, ujare harash vishad basere. Now, Tulsidas ji adored all those who have saintly qualities. And now he wants to adore all those who have unsaintly qualities. With a pure heart, I offer adorations to dushtas. Dushtar means wicked. Those who, without cause and without, not even for their own benefit, they live to hurt others. Hurting others, they don't calculate what am I going to get out of it. The mind is completely colored, drowned. The only gain they consider is that they are able to hurt others. Their happiness lies in seeing others being ruined. And if others live happily, that's the source of their intense misery. All this is practically real if you look into the world. Hari har jas rakesh rahu se, parakaj bhat sahas bahu se, ye par dosh lakahi sahasakhi, parhit grit jine ke man makhi. Those people who are like Rahu Ketu, that cause solar and lunar eclipses, and there is stories behind them that we will tell sometimes later. Rahu is that which waits for the full moon and grips the moon, and the moon becomes cut out, not complete. In the same way, Hari Har Yash is like the full moon. Glory of God, God as Vishnu and God as Shiva. See, we always have three deities, Vishnu, Shiva, Brahma. Brahma is the deity who creates the world. Now having created two deities, they bathe the world with a divine touch. Lord Hari nourishes the world. Lord Hara brings things to maturity. And the world is constantly telling you the glory of God. Live your life, when you are living your life contradicting the glory of God, acting like the Rahu, you are an Asuri person. You must realize the translation is adopted by people in a very simple way. Wherever people are singing these praises of Vishnu and Shiva, these negative personalities, they will create trouble in that temple, demolish the temple, hurt the people who are singing it. They act like Rahu Ketu. For hurting others, they act like the demon Sahasrabahu, 1,000 arms. The demon, that's all the story will come later, is a demon of great distraction. He developed all that strength, not for enriching himself, not for attaining enlightenment, for hurting others. Those who look at defects of others with 1,000 eyes, in allegorical way of saying, your eyes are not good. You go to an optician, get corrected and have wonderful glasses. The first thing you go to see people whom you hate. You put on your glasses. And now say, oh, now things are clear. But that's only one set of glasses. He says thousands. You see the defects of others with 1,000 eyes. And that which is good for others, they want to spoil that good. Their mind works like a makhi, a flea, a fly. All in order to hurt a milk pudding, all that you need to is to put a flea into it. So these negative personalities, all they do is to put a flea into your mind. And they themselves saw the flea. So they would rather die to make people suffer. Tej Trishanushroshya Mahishesha Aghavagun Dhana Dhani Dhanesha Uday Ket Sama Hit Sabahi Ke Kumbhakaran Samaso Vatani Ke. And in their fiery energy, they are like fire. That's when they want to do something negative and very angry. They appear like fire. In their anger, they are like god of death, Yamaraja. In storing sinful karmas, they are like Kubera, who is the richest person. All the riches come to him, but for the negative person, all the sinful karmas come to him. The rise of the negative person, the progress and success and greatness of a negative person is always destructive for the world. Such people should stay sleeping like Kumbhakarna. Para akaju lagi tanu pariharahi, jimi him upal krishi dali garahi, mandau khala jasa sesha sarosa, sahasabadan varanai paradosa. Just as frost falling upon a green farm, what happens? It destroys the greenery. But in doing so, the frost destroys itself. The negative personalities are like frost. That's their whole purpose of existence. how to bring about great destruction in the world and forget about their own destruction. Bandam khal jas sesh sharosha sahasavadan varanai paradosa. And those who are demoniac minded, I adore them, considering them they are Sheshanag, the cosmic serpent. Cosmic serpent is cosmic mind in allegorical way, and all the world is nothing but thought waves of the cosmic mind. But that's a different story. Here is just a simple mystical illustration. Sheshanag is described as the greatest eloquent speaker. These negative personalities, they have like 1,000 hoods, and they are constantly showering abusive words. See, sometimes one head is not sufficient. पुनि प्रणवों पृथुराज समाना पर अघ सुनई सहस दस काना बहुरी सक्र सम विनवों थे ही संतत सुरानी कही तजेही. They act like King Prithu, who had secured 10,000 years listening. He was so joyous by listening to the glory of God that he received a boon to have 10,000 years. All this allegorical, which means he developed power of listening to a profound degree. But in the case of these dushtas, wicked people, they also have asked for 10,000 years only to listen to the negative. If you have a very objective mind, look around you. From morning till night, what are you listening to? You are listening to 10,000 tongues of Dusht Sheshnag. In between, you have good things to listen to also. But predominantly, the culture has not developed or has not understood how much influence those TV shows have on the minds of others. And if shows are projected for harmony, peace, even just show the sunrises, show the peacocks dancing, show the joys of the world. So many people in the hospitals everywhere with inspiring music. How much benefit can be gained? But instead, so many tongues come out of the TV, shouting at you, disturbing your peace, filling your mind with garbage. So like Prithuraj, King Prithu, who has 10,000 years, these demoniac people, they also have 10,000 years. But Prithu was on a positive side, these are negative. Or like Indra, who possesses Suranik. Here you are being led to its literary beauty. Sura means wine. Nik, wine feels good. Suranik, wine feels good. With this interpretation, the demons act like Indra. They always want Suranik. But Indra, in his own positive nature, Sura refers to gods. Anik refers to army. Indra has a whole army of divine personalities. He is the leader of Davi Sampat. But while Indra is the leader of Davi Sampat, these demoniac people, they are leader of negative qualities. And they are indulgent. eat, drink, be merry. Bachan vajra jai sada piyara, sahasanayan paradosha nihara. And they don't have to carry vajras. Their harsh word is like thunderbolt. Once they shoot out of their tongue, its effects don't go away easily. And they have 1,000 eyes to look for the negative qualities of others, the qualities that don't exist. The eyes project them and become very confident, become assertive. Look at that. Didn't I tell you that person has 1,000 defects? You have to figure that out, how to build up this story. But always remember, when you finger point to anyone, 3 fingers point to you. And those 3 fingers you don't see. But if you are following the positive path, you see those 3 fingers. You are following the negative, you see your 1 finger moving, targeting people with their defects. Udasin arimiti hit, sunat jarahi khalarit, jani pani jug jori jan, binati karai saprit. These wicked people, they are always jealous, or they are always evil-hearted towards people who are quiet, serene, people who are friendly, people who are not so friendly. All types of people. People are always in different categories. Reminding you of Raja Yoga Sutras. There are 4 types of people: Maitri, Karuna, Mudito, Pekshana. People who are friendly. Towards them you develop Maitri, friendly qualities. Then there are people who are lesser than your status. You are healthy, the other person is not. You are wealthy, other person is not. You have certain good qualities, another person doesn't have. Deal with that type of person with compassion, not with superiority complex. That's called karuna, mercy. Then there are people around you who are progressing. Don't become jealous of their progress. Don't pull their feet. But try to see what makes them progressive. And with humility follow that example. And therefore, whenever you see people who have great success, develop a sense of great joy, that through that person I am going to acquire good virtues. Then there is a 4th type of personality, that's dull-witted, evil-minded, troublemaker. Towards the troublemaker, avoid. Act as if you are like a wall or a rock. Do not express yourself. The moment you begin to express and start rationality, shower of abusive words will come on your head and nothing will be served in a proper way. But avoiding that type of situation is the best policy. If these 4 attitudes are adopted, manah prasadam, you live in the world allowing the mind to be joyous. Your mind doesn't have to wait for prasad from the temple. It enjoys the prasad from morning, evening, middle of the night. Try to understand that allegorical. It's the same prasad is used for temple prasad allegorically. When you have done puja, it must end with something nourishing, something delicious. Similarly, all developing these qualities are performance of divine puja. As a result, prasad comes. Prasad means mind is always calm, relaxed, joyous. And with this I will conclude. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.